Hello, friends. It's Jay, and I am so grateful to be here with you again. Welcome back to Movies as Meditation, where we uncover the spiritual depths woven into everyday movies. In the past few episodes, we explored Forrest Gump, his stillness, his simplicity, and the way he lived each moment with an open heart. But what happens when the world you live in doesn't feel real? What if something inside you whispers, "This isn't the whole story"? Today, we explore two different paths to awakening. One is Forrest's awakening by living deeply in the now. The other is Truman's awakening by breaking free from illusion. Let me take it very slow so you can follow along at the right pace, especially as I weave together insights from two different films. Let's start with Forrest Gump. I'm not really repeating just the same thing over and over. Forrest Gump doesn't seek awakening. He doesn't analyze, resist, or chase. He simply listens, acts, and trusts. When something feels wrong, like Lieutenant Dan trying to stop him, he doesn't argue. He only runs to save his friend. He's not calculating and surrender to others for his own safety. Even though his IQ is low, you know what really matters? He's not a stupid figure. He's a conscientious guy and wise figure. He disobeys platoon leader, his boss, Lieutenant Dan, right? When he loves Jenny, he doesn't hold back, even when she walks away. He doesn't grasp or demand. He simply loves. When he runs across the country, he doesn't even know why. People ask him, but he has no answer. Still, he runs. He keeps moving moment by moment. When he's confused as Jenny leaves him, he just runs, detaching himself from all things around him. He's like, wait, I don't want to make anything calculating in my head. Let me just detach from all that's around me. That's why he just feels like running. He just encounters thoughts about everything that happens around him. Not only Jenny, although she's of course the main figure that triggers his running. In other words, he starts moving meditation in nature, right? Look at this scene. In the sunset, in the middle of wide fields, the one figure, Forrest Gump, is running. Camera shows this guy, Forrest Gump's inner state. Think you are the running but still figure. Isn't this a meditation? Yes. This is one kind of spiritual awakening, not through knowledge or escape, but through presence, through surrender. Not subservient though. In Christian terms, Forrest leaves everything to God. It echoes the word, "Not my will, but yours be done." In Buddhist terms, it's the path of non-attachment. Forrest doesn't study or analyze these teachings. When a good thing happens, he allows them. When bad things happen, he allows them. He still loves Jenny when she leaves or comes back. He enjoys wealth, but not being too proud. He accepts his mother's death. He doesn't resist the grief. He allows and honors it. And now he keeps walking. Forrest's life becomes a kind of moving meditation. Silent, pure, open to grace. Now, let's turn to the next one, the Truman Show. Truman Burbank lives in a bubble, literally. His entire world is a giant set. I know some of you might not watch the film, but don't worry. While I tell you this, the storyline is right here. Everyone around him is acting. His life is staged. In a huge stadium he lives. This world is our world itself, although the routine, mundane matters are exaggerated there in the film. Truman wakes up, and when he goes to work, he says, "Good morning, good afternoon, good night," in case I don't see you. He works as a salesman, although he doesn't really like it. Truman drives his car, his radio plays, but suddenly he hears mechanical voice. Truman's turning onto the Lancaster Avenue, heading west, something like that. Wow, this is surveillance disguised as entertainment. The tools designed to comfort Truman, radio and routine, betray him by revealing that he is being watched, even controlled. It's the moment you hear the voice in your head and realize, wait, what's talking? This is the inner confrontation with programming. The social scripts you follow blindly every day, right? In a dictatorship country, in a dictatorship situation, Truman argues with his wife. In the middle of tension, she turns toward the camera and says cheerfully, why don't you try mocha cocoa? All natural, 100% delicious. It's absurd. It's creepy. Truman is pouring out confusion and fear, and she responds like a commercial actress. This scene powerfully blurs public and private life. It's not just fake, it's monetized. Spiritual layer here is that around you may also live in a performance mode. So to say, love turns into roles. Relationships become transactions. Truman senses this isn't real. She's not really here with me. Now, Truman walks out of his house. The same neighbor jogs by. The same man with flowers. Same cars. Same greetings. Looped. Perfect. Predictable. This is all actually, you can say, what happens in our daily lives, right? Nothing special. Everything that seems to work now feels suspicious. The repetition is too perfect in this movie. Like life is coded, not lived. Of course, this is exaggerated in this movie. It mirrors the moment when everyday life feels scripted. Your job, small talk, social media, it starts to feel mechanical. Truman begins to see the matrix of his existence. It's the matrix in the film Matrix. Yes, I'll handle the Matrix series later. This recognition births doubt. Truman now attempts to drive out of town. Suddenly, the road is blocked due to a nuclear spill. He sees hazmat-suited people, but their performance is shaky, too scripted. It's all an act to keep him in. This is fear-based control. The world lies to him to keep him safe, but it's really to keep him trapped. Like the system pretends to protect, but it's really maintaining illusion. Now, here what's spiritual layer? When you try to leave your false self, all sorts of excuses appear, right? What if I fail? What if this is dangerous? What will people think about me? The ego creates hazmat scenes to keep you from stepping into the unknown. It stops you. Truman's courage to doubt and test the boundaries is the beginning of spiritual bravery. Suddenly, with no warning, a large stage light labels, quote-unquote, 9 Canis Major, crashes to the ground right in front of Truman's house. He looks up and confused. This surreal moment is Truman's first visible crack in the illusion. The sky, something we never question, is literally breaking. Oh my gosh. The fallen light, named after a star, hints at both artificiality, in other words, stage equipment, and cosmic truth. Sirius as the brightest star, For Truman, it's confusing. Anyway, for the viewer, it's chilling. Wow, something is very wrong, right? Now, this marks the beginning of the awakening, though. Let me tell you, this world you took for granted begins to show its sins. Like the moment you realize your thoughts might not be your own, that your life might be scripted by your own ego formed in society. So, fear. That's dictatorship society. Socially and psychologically and spiritually too. After all these are not real, Sylvia being a trigger, Truman escapes from this appearance of the world to sort of another dimension of the world, but not really another dimension, but a wholly different world. But this world from another perspective. He decides, as I reveal in the next video, he decides to escape from this world. Dictators by Christoph, the dictator of the whole show, but it can also be that dictators by the human ego without freedom, our own ego. No social freedom, no room for individual wisdom. Spiritual layer here is that she is the inner voice of truth, the Holy Spirit, the Buddha mind, the Karnak, Moksha. But just like in life, that voice is silenced, pulled away by fear, conformity, or external pressures. Still, the memory plants a seed of awakening in Truman, a Karnak of truth that grows into unstoppable questioning. A man wants to be a quote-unquote true man. Now there's a scene that Truman is sneaking away and sailing into the unknown. Truman, having faked sleep and fooled the hidden cameras, escapes in the middle of the night. He sneaks to the harbor, boards a small sailboat, and heads into the vast open ocean alone. As he sails farther, the production team scrambles to locate him. The sky darkens, wind machines roar, right? Waves crash violently. But Truman holds steady, gripping the ropes, soaked and determined. This is one of the most breaking and symbolic sequences in the film. The ocean. Once Truman's greatest fear, linked to his father's quote-unquote death, his father is not really dead, becomes the path to freedom. Every crashing wave, every gust of wind represents the system's last attempt to break his will. But Truman doesn't surrender, not subservient. This is no longer about escape. It's about claiming truth, even if it costs him everything. The ocean is the unknown self, the subconscious, the divine abyss. Truman is leaving behind the false self, which is ego, comfort, conformed ego, and sailing into the mystery of truth, presence, and God. Storms always arise when you try to leave illusion. The ego fights hardest when it's dying, right? But real awakening requires enduring the storm, not turning back. You never cross the ocean unless you have the courage to lose sight of the shore. Two paths, one awakening, let's say. Forrest stays, Truman leaves. Yes, two different stories, but in one dimension. One embraces the world as it is. The other seeks the truth beyond it. One is the mystic, seeing God in every blade of grass. The other is the pilgrim, leaving the village to find the mountain. But both awaken, both return to truth. Forrest's path is gentle, like a feather drifting on the breeze. Truman's is bold, like lightning, breaking through illusion, right? So truth number one is that Forrest Gump's awakening, sometimes awakening is seeing what's always been there now, clearly, yes. Forrest is living life fully as it is, the path of stillness. He doesn't demand answers. He just listens, he feels, he acts when needed, and he rests when the moment allows. This is the awakening of presence. Forrest doesn't wake up in a dramatic rupture. He embodies a humble trust in what life brings. This is a path of stillness and simplicity. Now, truth number two. That's, of course, Truman Burbank's awakening. Sometimes It's breaking through what's false to enter something new. Truman's world is beautiful, but fake. It's controlled, scripted, performed. To awaken, he must question everything, break the routine, not only mentally or socially, but spiritually, mainly, break the routine, test the limits. He has to sail into the storm and literally bump into the wall of illusion. His journey is filled with doubt, fear, and resistance from others. But he pushes through not because he knows what lies ahead, but because he knows he cannot live a lie anymore. He wants the truth. This is the awakening of disruption. Not gentle trust, but courageous rupture. Yes, we need it. The illusion must shatter. You realize the system, the roles, the stories you've accepted are not real. Especially in terms of spirituality, That's what I emphasize here. Truman's exit is not from the world, society, but from falsehood. He leaves the prison of comfort for the mystery of truth, spiritual truth. You must leave the cage before you can feel the sky. The deeper truth is that Forrest and Truman are not opposites. You might have a Forrest moment in the morning, trusting what it is, and a Truman moment at night, questioning what you've been told. These two journeys, stillness and rupture, are not contradicted. They are partners in your spiritual growth. When you sit quietly, noticing the breeze or sipping coffee with full attention, that's Forrest. You're awakening within what's already here. But when something feels off, when a voice inside says, this isn't right, and you dare ask questions, that's Truman. You're sensing illusion and longing for truth. Both are sacred. Both are essential. If you only trust, you might stay stuck in a Truman world, and you don't want it, right? If you only question, you might never rest in Forrest's peace. So, mature spirituality embraces both the courage to walk away from falsehood and the grace to see beauty in what remains. Awakening doesn't always look the same. Sometimes it's a quiet stillness, like Forrest sitting on the tree. Other times, it's a stormy rebellion, like Truman crashing into the sky. But both paths point to the same truth, that freedom begins when we stop running from the present and start living in it, fully awake. Which path are you on? Where do you find yourself today? Are you like Forrest, learning to let go, to trust, or simply be? Or like Truman, hearing a deeper voice calling you to break free? Maybe you've been playing a role others wrote for you. Maybe now is the time to write your own script. Or maybe you've been pushing too hard, and what you really need is stillness. Forest stillness. Whether you are running through fields or sailing through storms, your path is sacred. Now, before we close, let's pause together and take a moment for a gentle, informal meditation on these two films. Take a deep breath, breathing in, breathing out. One more time. Inhale, exhale. And once more, breathing in, breathing out. Awakening is not something you earn, you achieve, to grasp. It's something you remember, the original state. Awakening doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it's a feather drifting quietly on the breeze, like Forrest Gump. Sometimes it's a man stepping through a hidden door, like the Truman Show. Whichever path is yours, may it lead you to truth, peace, and love. Now, ask yourself gently, am I being called today to be more present, more rooted in the here and now? Or is it time to question more deeply, to look beyond what I've always assumed? Let your heart answer. It's so good to be with you in this moment. Yes. Thank you for sharing it with me. In the next video, we'll look more deeply at the false world Truman begins to question. A life shaped by scripts and surveillance, and the deeper, freer reality he chooses to walk into, guided by the quiet voice of truth within. If this video touched something in you, I invite you to hit subscribe, like, and share your reflection in the comments below. I'd be truly honored to hear your story. Let's keep growing together. Thank you for being here. See you in the next meditation.